All right, everybody. Hey, Jeff here. So, mailman just came, and I thought I would show off some of the new stuff that came in today. Take a drink here. Oh, what do you think about my cup here? Look at that. Look kind of familiar. Made this cup a few years ago. It's red inside. Ooh, kind of bloody. Made this a few years ago. We went to one of those places where you paint it yourself and then they send it to you. Anyway, my cold coffee mug. So what came in today? Deliverance came in today. So this is from Retroactive Records. They reissued this, the Deliverance Greeting of Death. Scott's been showing it off. It's been all over his various social media things. Anyway, the packages finally came in, and here they are. This is a limited vinyl release. Now, this was Deliverance's original demo tape from 1987. And when it was released on a cassette like that. And this is also, whoops, let's see, too much glare. This also came with the package. It's been reissued, kind of a nostalgic cassette type reissue there. So this would have been, this was 1987, and of course they're a California band. So for those of us who were not living in California, you only heard rumors of this type of stuff coming. And so the first taste of this band that I had acquired, at least, was when 1987's California Metal compilation had come out. Now this was a compilation of all kinds of up-and-coming Christian bands that came out back in the day, and I tell you, this was just a I don't know, I want to say somewhat revolutionary. It was just great because it was one of the first real compilations released of what would be considered early Christian metal. The only band on here that really anybody knew about at the time was Barren Cross, and so they have a new song on here. Barren Cross already had an album out, so they had a version of Deadlock on here, which was to appear on their second album, but at the time had not come out, so it was a new Barren Cross song. So they were really the only band on here that was signed. The rest of these were just bands that you heard of through the grapevine, through magazines like Heaven's Metal and stuff. And you had like early, you had the Deliverance there, but we didn't know who they were. We basically heard of them as being a thrash band. Guardian, when they had the armor, and the name with the GAR. And then of course, like I said, Barren Cross was on here. Hero, band that we didn't really hear anything else from. They the singer Robbie Bronze was the former singer for Holy Soldier, and then he left and formed Hero. And then Neon Cross, which did later go on to make a really good album and a second album, and they still kind of work around today. But this band, Deliverance, were unknown, and they had two songs on here, one of which was pretty melodic, not thrash at all, A Space Called You, and then Attack was like just awesome. It was like one of the first early Christian thrash bands of that edginess. Then we finally got our hands on this, or should I say on that. But and I did have the cassette back in the day, and if I'm not mistaken, I sold this cassette like 2 years ago. I had a bunch of Christian demos. I still have a very small amount of them, but I decided, people out there collect these more than I do. I've just got them sitting around, and maybe they're worth some money, and I'll, sell them, make a couple $100. And I sold a bunch of cassettes. I don't know, 10, maybe 20, more than 10. Probably at least 20. Maybe not 30. But I sold about 20 or so cassettes. I figured I'd make a couple $100. Ended up making like $3,000. And really, that's what launched me into, I'm like, okay, yeah, I need this money. My daughter's about to get married, and I needed to pay for that. But I'm taking some of this off the top and buying myself a turntable. And that's when I started started buying the vinyl again. And that was in, May of 2017. A little over 2 years ago now. Anyway, so it's great to have this now on limited edition vinyl. Of course, it's a blow up of the cassette, so it's got the kind of the graininess to it that you would expect. Not a problem there. Has custom labels, which is really cool. I've already opened mine and put it in bags and stuff. So, and then the retroactive label there. Have not put this on though, because I mean the mailman literally brought this like about an hour and a half ago, and I bagged it and set up everything for this. I got the combo pack, like I said. It comes with the cassette. I haven't opened that yet. It comes with the sticker, which a lot of this stuff does, and it comes on CD, and it does have the bonus tracks on here from California Metal. So you're getting everything pretty much from 1987. Not even 100% sure I'm going to open this at this point, because this has been reissued on CD a few years back, both by Retroactive, and I think it was reissued twice. And so all of these tracks are there. I do have the digital versions of these that Matt sent me. So I don't know, may or may not open it. Save it for later. But I mean, this is the Deliverance package you need, because this is the beginning. This is 1987. These are the tracks. And while they are demos, they sound really good. Victory, you know, that came on the first album. No Time was on the first album. I mean, some of these songs you've heard before, but this, I don't know. Man, I remember when I got that cassette back in the day, I just, wore it out. All right, so let's see. What else did we get? So in my last video, I showed the new stuff that I finally got, that Rocks packages. So like the Helix old school release was in there. And I showed all the stickers that came with these packages. And I tell you, still been listening to this. Love Helix. You got to get this. You got to get this. And you got to get this on vinyl or CD. Anyway, but I got this. So then I got on this little thing. What else am I missing from Helix? I need to get. Okay. Oh, I need to circle back around and finally get Brian's solo album, Vollmer. Now I knew that, you know, Scott was selling this at No Life Till Metal. He had a couple left, and I just kept procrastinating. And I thought it's going to be gone. It's going to be gone. And you know, it wasn't high on my list. But with the Helix that came in, I thought I need to go ahead and get this. I don't want to miss this. But listen to this on Spotify. Love this album. Love this album. It's not too much drastically different from Helix, but it definitely has a more party bluesy atmosphere. So it is a little, but it's got the Helix sound because Brian's vocals. Great album. Great album. So I am glad I finally got this. And then I got in the mail with this a sticker. Now my assumption is this looks just like this is the brown, like the old school. I think this was supposed to come with the old school package, because I got stickers for pretty much everything but Helix. But I guess Bill realized that I didn't get one because of probably my video, and so he sent me one. So yay! Get all those. And then another one that I've been hemming and hawing around getting was the Banshee. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger and got that at the same time. Since I was, you know, buying from No Life Till Metal, I said, well, I'll get Vollmer and Banshee. I've been listening to this on Spotify too ever since it's been talked about on vinyl, and it's a really great album. I never was into these guys back in the day. This is all I have by well, no, I did download a long time ago. Found a site where you can download a bunch of old demos and independent stuff, and I found their first couple albums. But you know, that was 80s stuff. Never really didn't get a whole lot into it. But then this came out, started listening to this, and this is a really good album. Definitely not 80s, but so I figured I needed to get that, and I knew Scott said that the quantities were getting low. So if you haven't bought that, No Life Till Metal, go grab it from his site, because it's not going to be around for much longer. This morning, went out and to a shop that's a little further across town. I don't usually go there because it's a little out of the way. You know, when I think about that, I'm like, you know, it's probably one of the more out of the way places, except for the one that I go to that's in the next town over. But you know, when I really stop and think about it, this particular store, it's literally less than 15 minutes away. But it's like the furthest away from all the ones around here, so I don't go there as much because it's kind of in a part of town where I don't spend much time. The other ones are more centralized. Went there today, and they had a bunch of stuff. They tend to be one of the more pricey places. They had a couple things I wanted, and I'm always checking Discogs while I'm in there. You know, can I get it cheaper? Well, it's borderline cheaper. They had an Icon album I wanted. They had a couple things that I wanted that were in really good shape. They had a band I'd never heard of, but they wanted like $25 for it. It was still sealed from '85, but anyway, I couldn't pull the trigger on that. But I did find one that I did pull the trigger on. Knights of the New Thunder, TNT. This is, I'm not a huge TNT fan. I mean, I love their stuff, but again, if you knew in my old videos, I told the story of how I changed direction musically in my life back in 1985 whereas I stopped listening to a lot of the mainstream stuff and became more just listening to Christian music for like a good 10 years through 90 something. So pretty much from 86 to 95, 96, I was only listening to music that wasn't mainstream. So I had this album. I wore this album out. This was my favorite. So all the things that followed this would have been in that time period that I never listened to. I have a lot of them now, but you know, it's hard to catch up and go back and listen to 10 years worth of missed music and really feel like you know it as well. Especially when you're joining it so late, the party so late in the game. But this one, bought this when it came out. Remember hearing this on like Rockline and some of the other radio shows we listened to back in the day. They do have a one earlier than this, but it's got it's not all of it's in English, and it has a different singer. This is the one though. When we heard this on the radio, we ran out and got it, and it's still, every song on here to this day gives me nostalgic feelings. So when I saw this, and when I saw this in the condition it was in, it's the original '85. I mean, it's like, I don't even know, you probably can't see it. It's like zero ring wear. I would say it. To me, this is very good, plus. I almost see this as near mint, but anyway, so I had to get this. The price was right. It wasn't too horribly expensive, so I grabbed it. Now, what we got next is, yesterday I got a box in from Value Vinyl. If you've been watching his channel, he gave away a bunch of records, and I was one of the ones, and his package to me, VCLT, came in yesterday. So what we got next is a bunch of All Vinyl Lives Matter type vinyl. These are things that he picked up in a bulk shipment of hundreds of albums that he was giving away. These are good condition. Some are very good. Anyway, I spent a couple hours last night scrubbing each and every one of these. Gave them a good thorough cleaning, rebagged them, put them in, inner sleeves and stuff like that. Spun a couple of them, and yeah, some of them do have some pops and crackles that give them a little extra life. I found a couple that skipped just a little bit, but they sound wonderful. First one up, Billy Joel, The Stranger. Again, I listened to this one actually this morning. Story behind this one was, for me, back in the day as a child when this was out, a couple years after this came out, a friend of mine that I hung out with all the time, who I've been trying to get to appear on videos with me because we haven't really hung out for like 30 years, but his father, we would always be driving around. We would go to garage sales and stuff, and we would always stop at people's stuff on the curb and go through their stuff to see what they had. And one day we went through there, and my friend found the body of a guitar. It looked like something Angus Young used to play. We later took that, put a fake neck on it, used it for our air band, which I have cool pictures of our air band with his father built a stage for us back in the day. Anyway, but this album, found this in the mail. Found this on the curb at somebody's house. Why? I don't know. It was in good condition. Anyway, so to me, this reminds me of that. It's got a little pops and cracks, but that's the age of it. This reminds me of finding something on the side of the road that I took home and cherished, because this is like one of my top 3 Billy Joel albums. Glass Houses are my favorite that I'd like to get one day, but this one is just, and so it's great to have this again, even if it's in a slightly rough condition. This is one of the better conditioned ones of the batch. Next up, we got a couple Pat Benetars. Now, honestly, I have to say I've never owned a Pat Benatar album in all of my days of buying vinyl back in the day. Currently, I have the best of on CD. Kind of bought it more for my wife. We've listened to it in the car and stuff. Never really did much of a collection on her. I appreciate her music. I like her music. Best of. My band plays her music. Never really owned any of her material. So when he had these two, I thought I need to go ahead and get them because everybody needs a little Pat Benatar. All right, make fun of me. Make fun of me all you want. This was actually the first one I listened to before. I take that back. This is the second one I listened to, even before Billy Joel. And this one was actually in really good condition. I cleaned it up really well, and yeah, I had this album back in the day when it came out. I was into disco before I was into metal, I was into disco before I was really into, well, while I was into hard rock, I still listened to it. Still love this album. I'm still a fan of the Bee Gees. I'm still a fan of back in the day, I listened to Andy Gibb, Bee Gees, and stuff like that. And anyway, so I have this on CD. I've had it forever. To get this again on vinyl, it's just, you know, the warmth, listening to it, it was great. I also got a Bee Gees album. I do own, I have, in a previous video, I showed how I received the Odessa album from over at Bill at the Vinyl Verse. Won that, so that's my first official owning of a Bee Gees album. But you know, so here we are, '79. This is when they started really peaking. They got up there with Tragedy and, you know, all that stuff. So this album and Saturday Night Fever, to me, are going to be, you know, this is like the era of the Bee Gees. So I was glad to get this. It's in really decent condition. Bad Company. Honestly, I've never owned a Bad Company album before. Love Bad Company. I've played them in bands. Just never was a collector of this. So, you know, hey, when the first album comes out, you grab it. This is probably got the most, what looks like surface scratches and stuff. I haven't listened to it yet, but there's a bunch of scratches on one side. I fear that it's going to be really rough. Listen to that, but hey, I appreciate having it. It's got some cover wear, rips and stuff. Cleaned it up as good as I could, and we'll be spinning this later. I'm probably one of the few people in America that was not issued this when they moved into the neighborhood. Never owned a Peter Frampton album, never had Frampton Comes Alive. I know it's a pivotal album. I know our band plays songs from it in the past. I've never owned it. Gave it a spin again last night. Sounded great. Classic rock. Appreciated it. Figured, hey, if he had it and nobody else claimed it, I want to get a copy because you have to own a copy of this. I think this is one of those things that's required if you buy records and if you buy if you listen to classic rock. So hey, I joined the club now. I am curious, and I haven't stopped to look it up, but the printing on album 1 and album 2 are drastically different, and I don't know if they came from the right set, or if that's just the way they were. It's the A&M label, but if you notice, if I can get this without a shadow casting on it, where's that shadow coming from? The letters are, what is that? I don't know what's casting that shadow on my thing. Anyway, the lettering is small. Maybe somebody can answer this and that save me time of having to look it up. And on the other disc, the lettering is fat and bold. This is the way I usually see the letters on the A&M label. So this one's kind of weird because it's just a thinner lettering. Anyway, maybe you know and you can answer that. Leave a message in the notes. That is it for now. Wanted to run through that, and I do thank you for watching, and support all of these reissues. Support music. You're buying it because you're making videos like me and you're watching my stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. Rock on. Have a great day.